Dogs bred and trained in the state of Alabama are considered the international gold standard when it comes to explosives detection.
And those dogs are working around the world to foil would-be terrorists and killers. Tonight in a special report, Peter Albrecht goes around the state to show you how these dogs are trained and to tell you about the unique capability they have that makes them truly special.
These playful labs hardly seem like fighters in the international war on terror. And peaceful Auburn University hardly seems like the front line in that battle. This is Zoo Lily, a 3-year-old lab here at Auburn. And in about a week, she's going to have some puppies that one day could save thousands of lives. For decades, Auburn has been at the forefront of developing and breeding dogs to detect explosives. In the old Beardees Coliseum, training takes place in an abandoned locker room.
We have regular little cotton swab pads that have been in here and contaminated with the TNT. What I'll do is I'll take these inside. I will hide them and let our dogs come in and find them. Clear the room.
Come on, Bill.
The training is successful. The dog scans the room and then sits when it finds the TNT. But detecting stationary targets at the direction of a handler is now just the first step for these explosive detecting dogs. They're now being bred and trained at Auburn to be able to detect moving targets like suicide bombers.
So Vaporwake was a real game changer for the detection of moving targets.
Auburn's Paul Wagner helped to develop a new and now patented approach to detection called Vaporwake, based on the invisible heat plume that people emit.
You can imagine you start walking, that plume is going to lay down behind you and spread out like the wake behind a boat. Hence the name Vaporwake. A person, if they're containing explosives, then the best place for the dog to sample was in this wake behind them. Therefore, groups of people as they come through can be screened at one time, making it efficient and not impeding the flow of people.
Auburn breeds about 50 to 60 of these exceptional labs a year. They get about 8 months of imprinting and training at Auburn and 4 months of one-on-one discipline training with inmates in several federal prisons before heading to the former Fort McClellan in Anniston, Alabama.
Yeah, this is where we began, start imprinting them and getting them ready to go out into the real world.
The company WKRG provides intense training for 6 more months. Here, the Auburn dogs learn to detect dozens of explosives. First in stationary targets like these canisters and these cars. But again, this is now just the basic skill set for these labs.
The security gap is for body-worn explosive threats.
Paul Hammond is the president of WKRG.
The Paris attack, Belgium attacks, Boston Marathon, London, Manchester, UK have been body-worn explosives, either transited or detonated.
And that's why the Auburn dogs are trained in Anniston to use their Vaporwake skills. These dogs are perfect for detecting explosives in venues with lots of chaos and lots of moving people.
Our Vaporwake dogs are obedient to the odor itself and not people or objects. As pedestrian traffic flows move through an area, we can traverse the heat plumes, and if we can detect minuscule amounts of explosives, we can follow to source.
And now these dogs are being used not only to foil suicide and other bombers, but mass shooters as well.
We now are getting a lot of requests to use this technology for weapons detection.
These dogs can be trained to detect the metals, plastics, and oils used in firearms. And tomorrow night on News 5 at 6 o'clock, we'll have more on this weapons aspect and how these Auburn dogs could be a real breakthrough in limiting mass shootings. Now, right now, about 130 Vaporwake dogs are in service, purchased by the military, police agencies, mass transit systems, and pro and college sports teams. The cost, up to $50,000 each.